It began with a bold vision to build KL Metropolis, a development that would establish a new international trade and exhibition district in Malaysia, built in partnership with the government by Naza Group's property arm, Naza TTDI. The crown jewel of this grand vision is the Malaysia International Trade and Exhibition Centre, the preferred international destination for exhibitions and events. Like the fine gold and silver threads of the Songket weave that inspired its facade design, MyTech is the embodiment of refined craftsmanship, creativity and precision. As Malaysia's largest exhibition centre, MyTech's functional spaces are unprecedented. Primed for exceptional displays, surrounded by state-of-the-art facilities and amenities. This iconic structure affirms a commitment to innovative excellence. It is a showpiece of engineering ingenuity. An enduring icon built for a new Malaysian era of success.
But before I introduce everyone, thank you so much for being on Raw and Uncut. We are basically a series that we are now on the 10th episode, and we are a series that we unclutter, we chew, and we spit out the truth. So we actually speak usually to people. We try and find out real stories from exceptional people and people like my lovely friends here today. This is basically not just friends, they're also part of this lovely network they are part of, which is MTG, which is Mind the Gap. So I've gotten to know all of them through this network, and it's been lovely. So I would like to start introducing each one of them. Of course, today the topic is about, being in Malaysia, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I would first like to introduce our Malaysian here, Dave. Dave is our lovely thorn among our roses. And Dave is also the person in MTG who keeps us all on track. So it's good to have him. Most of the time, the ladies, we kind of divert into a different direction. He goes, okay, ladies, come back. Okay, here is what we are talking about today. So it's great to have Dave. Dave, how are you? Have you been?
I'm good. Good. Thank you so much, Vani, for getting me in. Sorry, I think just to correct you, I tried to do my best, but I think my wife will have different things to say about whether or not I keep things on track. I think she keeps me on track.
Oh, nice. Well, thank you. And we have Andrea, the lovely Andrea. Andrea, hi, how are you today?
I'm very, very good. Very nice to be here and see you again, all of you. And I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Absolutely. And Andrea is from Europe, right?
Yes, from Hungary.
Yes. Right. And it's lovely to have you. And how long have you been here, Andrea? Can you just tell our viewers?
For 4 years. We moved here 2016.
Nice, lovely. And Andrea is doing some amazing things. She's got some upcoming, things happening as well, which I won't reveal too much. We will talk as we go along. And then we have Jolo, the lovely Jolo. Jolo has been in Malaysia for about just this year, right, Jolo? She's from Mexico.
A half and a year. It's going to be a half and a year to be in Malaysia.
Oh, nice. And of course, finally, we have Nash. Nash is our lovely president in our Mind the Gap network. And she is, I like to think of her as the chili padilla, huh? You know, the one that is nice and sweet and petite, but you know, she knows what she's doing, like chop chop, you know. And Nash is Singaporean, correct?
So yeah, I'm from Singapore and I moved here in my when I was 12 actually. So I'm
Right.
back in Malaysia now.
So leading up to Malaysia Day, which is on the 16th of September, I would first like to throw the first question, and I would like to start with probably Nash. Okay, Nash. So tell me all the wonderful things about Malaysia that you have experienced. In your experience, what are you proud of? I mean, you're practically Malaysian, right? So what are you proud of?
Yeah. Well, I have always so my family, we live in a Chinese community. So this is I think one of the most memorable parts of being Malaysian. I just gave birth and I was in confinement at home.
Right.
And I had my neighbors all around me who were Chinese who came to my house and cooked for me, you know, the ginger chicken, brought me the sea cucumber, and I pantang the Malaysian way. I'm sorry, the Chinese way.
Wow.
Even though my Japanese.
Yes.
So yeah, exactly. So I think that's perfect. So when we moved right from Malaysia, I remember growing up in one of my neighbor's house who was Indian. So we would go there and have food. She would take care of us while my mom was working, my dad was still in the factory working. And then when they came back, she would send food over to us. So even up till now, whenever we have anyone in my family gets married, all the neighbors, the Chinese neighbors, the Indian neighbors will come and help out with the food, with the preparation. So we are really one Malaysia.
Yeah, because it's not even a second thought for us, right? We are all there. I've grown up with all the different races, so we just do it, right? It's not even something that we think about. Oh no, wait, hang on, you are Indian and you are Chinese, and you know I'm Malay, so I can't do all that. It's nothing,
No.
right? We've always lived like that. So what about you,
Yeah.
Andrea? You've been here for 4 years, so tell us all the lovely, lovely things we Malaysians have given you.
So most of all, I think it's the welcome. So when I arrived here, I met with the ladies through my old company, multinational company, and we had some connections in the Philippines. And I asked my Filipino friends, do you know someone in Kuala Lumpur? Because I'm going to go there, I will live there, and I need someone to help me. And it was so nice because they knew a lady. She was living in Kuala Lumpur, a Chinese lady. And they told her to take care of me, and she took it really seriously because at the first day when we arrived in May 2016, she came to the airport. You know, you have to drive 1 hour to the airport. So she came to the airport. She was there when I arrived. And me as a, you know, like a very open European, I was like jumping on her without seeing her before at all. So, and I was like hugging her, like totally like a big hug. And she was like, you know, how like in Asia, it's really unusual for the first time that you hug everyone and you are really coming close. But for me, that was the momentum when I was like, okay, I came to Asia. I have to get to know this country because it seems that this hug was very weird. Although I was just giving love for the first person that I ever will see here in Kuala Lumpur. And we are still then very good friends. We are hugging more. And she's still keep supporting me. But yeah, that was my big thing, like this welcome that she did the favor without knowing me before, just to come to the airport and drive 1 hour for me. That was amazing. And ever since then, I had the same, whenever we have something in our house, we are inviting the people. And when I look at the diversity, I'm just like amazed by all the different nationalities from European and Malaysian and Chinese Malaysian and Indian Malaysian and everyone together. You know, that's amazing. I really love it. And the nature and the food. My favorite is nasi kerabu. So
thank you. So Dave, do you agree? Okay, Dave is our only Malaysian here, right? So Dave, like authentic lah. Sorry, Anesh. So Dave, do you agree with what Andrea is saying in terms of Malaysians can be, sometimes we can be quite, don't hug me please, I don't know, you know, are we generally warm? What do you think? You know, do you think that we are generally warm people, but we just have some cultural, you know, things that we kind of, you know, adhere to?
Okay, so there's going to be a mix of good and bad. I think that when we grew up. So this comes from warmth, right? So it's not about just hugging as an affectionate expression. So that sort of touchy-feely sort of expression, I think, is probably less the way that we might express our warmth. And so it comes through like what Nash said, right? The ability for communities to come together in moments of community need. So there's a community occasion, the kanduris, the festivals, the occasion to share in terms of celebrating birth and others, right? Those are the ways that I think the diversity or the affection and the warmth comes through. But again, if you look at KL now, it is, it's a bit more cosmopolitan, a bit more, I guess, European in that. And so I guess, for the 5 of us on the call, hugging would be a natural way of expressing that warmth. But I think on the bad side, I think that was true probably during my initial growth phase. I feel that some of that now has become very transactional now, as money has become the objective of progress. The nature in which our warmth is expressed is very, very different. I feel sometimes that it's actually warmer, and I believe that this fundamentally is, it's really, really warm in rural Malaysia. I mean, from the kind of warmth, community warmth that I grew up with, right? But in the transactional part of Malaysia, which is very profit-driven, very, business-driven and stuff, that natural warmth seems to have disappeared a little bit. I feel that if you were to go into a service industry, for example, in Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam, I mean, you almost feel it straight away.
Yeah.
Even in the busy city, all right. Malaysia, for some reason, we seem to have backed it off. But when you go into the kampongs, when you go into the smaller towns, take a drive to Terengganu, go up to Perak, go to Bentong, go somewhere else, you're back in what I believe is really Malaysia. Right?
No, I agree. I agree with you. I think our warmth comes from feeding people. We love everything about us is about food, and I think it's a lot of cultures as well. Because we have 3 cultures together here, kind of combined together. Everything is centered around food. So, like what Nash said earlier, we may not be hugging and stuff, which is but it's happening a lot more now in the cities and all that, and people who probably traveled everywhere. And again, like Dave said, it all depends on now, where you get out to, somehow I agree with Dave. I kind of feel like going out to the outskirts, I feel a lot more warmth than I have, I feel within the city itself, because everyone is kind of busy with their own thing. But food kind of brings us together. It's always food, in our Indian community, and Dave will agree. The first thing anyone asks when we don't meet someone for a long time is, have you eaten? Do you want food? That's like the first thing. I remember I would not see my grandmother in like years. And the moment I go back is, have you eaten? Why are you so skinny? And even though I put on like tons of weight, and she'd say, why are you so skinny? Come eat, let me cook for you. Or come, here's food. And one serving is never enough. It's always eat, 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 eat. So that's the warmth. I think everyone kind of comes together with that kind of, love, and the food is such a big thing. So, Jolo, tell me, what have you experienced? You've been here since the beginning of the year. You come in and we are in lockdown, so you can't really experience us in the best possible way, can you?
Well, no, because before that I've been here, I've been twice time, because a lot of problems happen around me. So the first thing that I didn't touch here, I have a problem in that moment. And I cannot say that the Malay people helped me, because in that moment I was not so very in touch with Malay people. But the expats here helped me so much. And for sure, they become introduce me with some Malay people. Experience around this half and a year is going to be like a crazy. I experienced so many things, from bad, from good. Yes. And I said to the people, I have always a history for everything. So the point is, I don't feel strange in compare of Mexico. The thing is, so many things around Mexico and Malaysia are quite similar. The first thing that we have just only 7 countries around the world, they have the complete animals and plants here. And one of them is Malaysia and the other is Mexico. So kind of the weather, I feel comfortable because it's part of the south of Mexico, right? As the same as happened at Andrea, we have this time of people that everyone we hug, come, I'm going to hug you. Because for us, the issue to hug people is becoming, you be protected, you be in good hands with us. So this is the meaning for us. So imagine the first time that I jump in a Muslim family to the guy, not even the woman, the guy, the husband, because for us in Mexico, we cross it. When we say hello, we never jump to the woman first as a woman, okay? We jump to the person who is in charge of home, that is most of the time the husband. So I become with him, and he was like, never said to come back, and just only put his hand like that and leave me to hug him. But the next point that I become, he told me, oh, Jolie, you know something? We don't hug here. Not even women. And I feel like, why not? This is so very common.
I can guarantee you a lot of other guys wouldn't have said that. They'll go, yeah, please hug me. Please hug me.
Yes. So you go to dance and so many guys do like that. Come.
Yeah. Exactly.
But for me, it's really strange in that point of view, because for I'm a Mexican girl, it's quite so very common, right? The first touch with people is okay, kiss and hug, because that means you are comfortable, you are covered with us, you are going to be fine for everything. This was so very funny for me. Yeah.
Thank you, Jolo. So Andrea, tell us all the similarities. We must have some sort of similarities with, from where you're from, from Hungary, from the culture that you're from. Just probably throw us some similarities, that Malaysians and Europeans from your country have.
I think the values of the family, that's really, really the similarity, that we come together a lot, we celebrate a lot. My grandfather was always doing like these big dishes, cooked in a big pot for more than 50 people. We call it like a stew. It's like percut. It's a special name for Hungary. And we use paprika like your chili, but it's like a little bit less spicy. So this kind of coming together, cooking together, celebrating birthdays, celebrating things together, it's very, very similar. And I think also the colors and the flowers, because in the Hungarian team, the Hungarian all the laces and all these kind of things that we are very famous for, the flowers, the tulips, the things that are in the main, the symbols are in there. And I see in the Malaysian batik and all the things, you also have the flowers inside. So that's also the colors and the flowers. I think it's very similar.
Thank you, Andrea. Nash, I think it would be crazy to even ask you what's the similarities to Malaysia and Singapore. We are all the same, right? But what are the differences? I'd like to ask you. That if there's anything that Singaporeans try to be slightly distinct from Malaysia. I mean, I know you always say everything comes from Singapore, but which is not true. Dave and I could agree with that. But best nasi lemak Singapore, best kway teow Singapore. Correct or not, Dave? Correct or not?
Yeah. Even they think the Peranakan culture is Singaporean.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Singaporeans and Malaysia have this love-hate relationship. We love them because we're all one. I mean, there is no differences really, but I'm sure there's some things, going back sometime to Singapore, you'll see like Singaporeans trying a little bit harder to be a little different from Malaysians. What would that be, Nash?
I don't know about trying a little bit harder, but maybe the attitude, this kiasu attitude, we all have it. I know I have it also sometimes in terms of I do. And this kiasu attitude, it means like, I'm going to do, if someone tells you to do 10 things, we will do 20 things. Because we just want to make sure we will do more than everyone else. That's the mindset.
Yep. That is so true. I mean, that's exactly why I think we even have people even have campaigns with that whole kiasu thing, right? Singapore and Singaporeans being kiasu. Yeah, but I mean, I suppose in some ways that is good to want to do more things than less things. But sometimes I think you just exhaust yourself, isn't it, Nash?
It's true. We are our own biggest worst enemy.
Right.
Another thing what I noticed, it's subtle. You know, we're very similar, like the Malay culture in Singapore, and although Singapore is such a metropolitan city, right? And but because of that, the minority ethnic groups sort of like uphold their culture more
Right.
than in Malaysia, I find.
Right.
Like a lot of Malays are actually more modernized than Singaporean Malays.
All right. Okay. That's the first. That's the first time I'm hearing that. That's very interesting. So you think that in everything that they do in you know the culture itself, or in the everyday life, or it's just like a certain like events, or how what do you mean by they hold it a little bit more?
Some certain events, cultural events, you know, for example, when I recently got married, right, last year, and so we're in Singapore, there's all this culture, you know, that we have to do like bertandang, and then like when we want even to send invitations out nowadays in Malaysia, everyone just sends through WhatsApp and just call and stuff. But in Singapore, for my parents, this is what I observe. Even until now, they will actually visit relatives' home to give the wedding invitation by hand. And they will travel to Pahang, travel to Terengganu to meet the heads of the family there to pass out the wedding invites.
And you think because it's become such a cosmopolitan, metropolitan, everything, that the minority groups are still kind of holding on very tight to it. Dave, do you think that you know, now in 2020, and you know, I can't even talk about the fact that we're in lockdown, but I'm just talking about generally in 2020. Do you think as culturally we are more united right now, or we are a little bit more disintegrated, or we are a bit more, you know, apart?
Very interesting question, only because, okay, so let's look at it from just the Indian community. I personally would not see myself as saying I'm representative of the Indian race in this country, right? If I take it from a popular perspective in terms of the vast majority of Indians, even from a viewpoint perspective in terms of whether or not I you know, speak in the same way or understand the language or talk about issues in the same context, and so that and that's a problem with, I think, when you talk about things Malaysian, because there's actually a plurality of, you know, and real diversity, and across you know, gender, across different states, across rural, urban environments, you know, and that makes it difficult to say what is, you know, I think very clearly we don't have a unique sort of identity, but you know, just talking about that identity, and I'd like to just touch on what Nash was saying. I think for Singapore, there was a sense of that identity was very, very important right from the start, because they had to, you know, one of the biggest challenges for Lee Kuan Yew at the time was to identify what was Singapore, right, as distinguished from Malaysia, because for the longest time they saw themselves as being part of Malaysia, right, and they had to identify themselves, right, and so as a nation, that pursuit of identity is core to what's happening, and so that's why you see it, I think, you know, manifested in preservation of certain cultural practices, the super kiasuness that we would all attribute it to, the wanting to take ownership of things that suddenly give them an identity, right? Whereas Malaysia's development, I think, from that broad traditional sort of context that we grew, where the cultures were very, very strong, and so, you know, even an expression of touch. Why touch was, I think, something that, you know, we feel like, and we talked about it earlier. Why it's a little bit of a touchy-feely subject is that touch is a very respectful tradition in almost every single, whether it's the Chinese, the Malays, the Indians. We use touch as a sign of respect, and so when you start with that, it's very difficult to just suddenly open yourself up completely and say, look, it's a completely different thing. And you're using touch to bring other people in. Whereas this is a sign of where I stand, where the son stands relative to the father, where the mother stands relative to the daughter or the daughter-in-law. You know, it's those sort of things, right? We continue to have very diverse points of view. I think there's a problem, just like with everything else, there's an increased level of polarization that is now manifesting. And that's partly due to politics, partly due to business, partly due to education, you know, and that will continue to manifest. Malaysia is the country that has grown through adaptation. We've imported a lot of things.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. Totally do. I mean, I think, you know, this is the thing. I don't, and I'm sure I'm going to sound a bit controversial here. You know, we are, a lot of us are third or fourth generation Indians, right? I can only speak for the Indian community here, right here. And even then, a lot of us now in the third or fourth generation are already so mixed within our community. You know, there is no, we can't even say that, oh, I am South Indian from this particular, group or tribe or whatever, because we are so, the intermarriages have happened so much that I can't even tell anyone that I am from this part of India, because I am so mixed myself. You know, half of me is even in Sri Lanka and the other half is in India. So because I am all that, I really think it's about time that Malaysians start embracing the fact that we are Malaysians, full stop, you know, as opposed to going, I'm Indian and I'm Chinese, because that's exactly what is kind of separating us at the moment, which is great, which is fine. But I think, like, you know, something that Singapore has taken the stand of just being Singaporeans, that I hope we get there sometime, you know, to be just proud to be Malaysians, and rather than going very race-based, sorry, you know, as opposed to going, I'm Malaysia, you know, even Malaysian Indian, it's fine, or Chinese, you know, Malaysian is fine. But the fact remains here that we need to stop this. I'm Indian and I'm Chinese and I'm Malay and that sort of thing, you know. And race, honestly, I don't know. Until today, I keep insisting on this. It's one thing that should be abolished from all our documents, right? We shouldn't even be putting it. We should just say Malaysians. See, Dave is agreeing.
Right.
He's nodding his head.
100%.
Always, yeah. I've always wanted that. Why? You know, why? Because, you know, I don't know what you're doing it for, but, you know, I think we've come to a point right now, and right now we're living in 2020, you know, and we've been under lockdown for so long. We should just start doing things differently. Huh? Dave, don't you agree? And Nash, you're almost Malaysian. I'm sure you agree as well.
No, honestly, whenever Dave calls me sometimes when we talk about work, I'm like, hey, I'm cooking biryani or I'm cooking stuff, and he just comes over to eat. So,
Thank you, Nash.
Oh my God, Nash, I'm
Being
still going
part
to
of
come
my
over to the
extended
house.
family.
Oh, yeah, Andrea and Jello, me, and Dave are coming over next time. You're going to cook for us. Yeah, I know. We are so mixed. Everything about us is so mixed, right? Our food and, you know, the way, even the way we talk, our language. I mean, we talk, you know, like the Malaysianized English, right? The Manglish that we call it. It's so, you know, it's got every language in it, right? So, yeah, that's what makes us unique. So, well, going back to maybe now, I'm kind of going to go to the little bit of a flip since, you know, we're running out of time. So tell, Jello, any experience you've had so far that's probably you've gone, oh, God, I don't know what's wrong with these Malaysians. They can do better. Anything at all?
I can say that this one is something that you can do very better. And I will say it why. You said about here is intercultural and so many groups. The thing here is you can see it or you can distinguish so very careful who is Indian, who is Chinese, who is European. But in my case of Mexico, and I explained to many people, for us it's quite so very difficult because all the countries that we come in on Mexico, for sure we have it so many expats, and we don't do as a kind of community or area specific for expats, because they are involved with the community. So it's quite so very difficult to see or to say this is Colombian, this is Brazilian, is essentially because our aspect is quite so very the same, right? Also for the American people, this one is quite so very famous that they cannot be attached in a single community, okay? So you can see it around Mexico. So these kind of people, and we don't say I'm a Mexican Colombian or Mexican Brazilian or Mexican Salvadorian. So for me, and I say to the people from Malaysia, I always say that you are Malaysia. You born here. You be proud that you've been here. Some girls answer me, oh, but we are going to lose our entity. You are not losing nothing. You are adopting something very special that you becoming more big, big that essentially you are not now only Chinese. You are Chinese, Malay, yes, but in this mixture of culture that you're becoming more bigger, and this one is going to be amazing. That's the only thing that I have. It's for me, and I'm very proud to say it's for
Thank you so much. What about you, Andrea? What would you say? Something that you Malaysians can do better, lah. Come on,
I have only two things to say. One is very connected to whatever you said before, just to show you an example. So if you think about Europe and the European history, you know that there are a lot of people going around in Europe, and they are coming from a lot of different ways. So just look at the DNA test that you can do now today and check back how many different races you have inside you. Or let's just go with my own example. My name is Slovakian. I'm a Hungarian, but my family have been deported into Hungary during the time when there were not enough people there. So what should I say? Am I Slovakian or am I Hungarian? No, I'm Hungarian, right? Because that's my home, the place itself. So it's not really about where are you from and what is your roots. You are proud of it, right? But on the other hand, this is your place. So that's the same with Yolo, what she said, and all of you before, that the main thing is that you feel that this is your home and you want to make your home better no matter where you are from originally. So when I'm living in Kuala Lumpur, for me, this is my home. So now I'm working on making the place better for those who are here, because I believe I belong to here. Although people see me as a white privileged woman, which is not really the other side, right? That I'm not. I'm coming from a small city with 17,000 people. I have never had a lot of money, and I'm just a girl who would like to survive just the way like you. So for me, this thing is the other thing that I want to mention for the women here, or for the expat women, that there are different types of people, and it's always, for me, it's no labels, because it's not up to the nationality, it's not up to the gender, it's up to the personality, how we are and how we have been brought up. And you just lose the labels. And if I am a woman talking to a man in an Asian culture, I would love to see the same embrace, to see the same openness, and to answer me the same way like it would be a man, because I'm not seeing myself as a woman in that moment. I'm a human communicating to another human. And as a dancer also, I'm seeing myself on the same independent union, like you are two entities, strong alone, but stronger together. So for me, it's like I'm standing in front of a Malaysian man or an Indian man. I don't see that. I see a person in front of me, and I want him to see in my eyes that I have additional value to give him, and he has additional value to give me. So it's not about how and who and how we empower, who we empower, right? It's about enabling the other person to be better. Right. So for me, that's something that I learned here. It was really hard for me as a European woman coming here. First, because everyone sees me privileged, but I'm not. And the second thing, that I'm a woman and I have to fight for my attention from other people, from men. And that's not, shouldn't be, right? Because we are the same. So
absolutely. Okay, you know what? I accidentally did on my personal, so we're going to get cut off because it's 40 minutes. And when we do, just click back on the same one, if we do. Okay. So the other question I was going to ask is, very well said, Andrea. It's exactly my thoughts, and Jolo as well, exactly our thoughts. So what do you think, Nash? You're basically Malaysian, right? So what do you think? What could we do better?
In terms of equality, I think. I mean, as a woman, like
overall as Malaysians, the things that have irked you about this country, like, oh my God, you guys, step up and do better, or, you've got so much to give, but yet you're not making use of it,
I mean, a lot of us complain a lot. I mean, I'm guilty of it as well, but, we should really just get to work. Enough of this nonsense of complaining, this person doesn't do better, this one because of this. And I'm tired of all this. We need to just get into the grind and make it work. We have so much potential. Honestly, Malaysians have so much potential. We're so creative. And because of these political boundaries or things that we're not receiving enough, it just makes us become more creative. You know, we're pushing our boundaries. We're thinking of a lot of ways for it to make it better. And we cannot, after thinking about it, we just have to do it.
Yeah.
And once, you know, if we work together, we put all our differences aside, I believe that Malaysia can be so much, can thrive out of it. There's so much resources, so many, you know, creative, talented people.
Thank you. And I so agree with you, Nash, because, you know, exactly what I tell my team every time, you know, they come back with a problem. I say, you know what, as of now, you just come back to me with a solution. I don't want to hear the problem, you know, every time. So now they know, okay, problem, they won't tell me. They will just wait for a while, and then they'll message me the solution, or they'll ask me the solution, because I don't want to know about the problem. Because what can I do? Exactly what you said. What can I do with the problem, right? You can tell me, I can go, okay, am I supposed to give you the solution? Because I think also it is, it's also our system, the system that, you know, and it can go back to education as well. Everything is given to you, you know, you're spoon fed with everything. So you don't want to necessarily sit and think. You don't want to come back with solutions. You don't want to come back with ideas. You know, you can walk, and I find the younger generation, yes, there's half and half. You know, some of them are just sitting down there waiting, you know, just waiting for things to come to them, as opposed to going out there and getting things done, you know. So what do you think, Dave? Do you agree with, do you think that's something that we could do better? Or if is there more? I mean, I know we can do a lot more. I'm sure there's a whole list of things, but do you agree, you know?
Yeah, so, you know, I think for the longest time, I used to spend used to think that if we can influence leadership, right, then that was the main thing. And so, you know, I had I guess most of my career was in, I guess, at a corporate type career. But I was always trying to influence change at a senior level. So on the view that if you can change the vision or the people setting that sort of stage, then you could start bringing everybody along. But you know, I think in a TikTok type generation, right? And I think this has been true all the time, that if the community itself keeps abdicating change to someone else, right, and sort of still living in this patriarchal society and expecting something to come down, then you will get that kind of leadership, because leaders now are popular leaders, right? They end up being a mirror of society itself. So society now, I believe, and you know, this is why I guess I'm engaged with you lovely people and trying to do things through Mind the Gap. And you know, Nash and I have been talking about this as well, in terms of how do we change the narrative in society. And so for me, if you ask me, the one Malaysian narrative that has stuck to me all the time has been Kampong Boy, right? With Lat's Kampong Boy is the one thing that I believe, you know, it's like Ola Bola. I don't know whether any of you saw that movie.
Yes.
Right? Ola Bola is a true Malaysian story, and it's the one movie, I think, right, really, that, you know, you could put it up in the same space as Lat, right? It's something that if you can talk to people and say, what sort of movie would galvanize you in the same way that a cartoon strip would, right? It would be Ola Bola. Ola Bola is a one time that I think all Malaysians came together and said, this is one story we are all fully behind, right? No politics, nothing else. It just brought back relevant memories from school. It brought back the friendships that people had, the willingness to do things together, right? It's that kind of thing that, you know, so we need some sort of galvanizing action. But I really believe the problem now is that how do we do that with a very diverse group of communities that are separated by the narratives that are being told, the political narratives, the economic development narrative, the job narrative, you know, the gender positioning narrative, you know, all those things are unfortunately things that we're going to have to work through because we've created those fences, right? Those fences already exist, and we can't ignore them. They do exist. Like you said, how do you get rid of race from the identity documentation, right?
Going on the other side, we also had Yasmin Ahmad's lovely Petronas ads that came out, you know, during different festive times, and it was all about, you know, being together. It was like, you don't even have to think, you know, we shouldn't even think that, oh, you know, you're Chinese and you're Indian and I'm, you know, you're Malay or whatever. We should just be Malaysians, full stop.
It's very important to the people understand about racism. Remember that we have a big community. It's not about talking Malaysia or Hungary or Mexico, wherever. We are the world. And we come from the COVID-19 together. It's not about, Chinese got infected, okay, attack like happening around in the United States, right? The point is what we are doing together to succeed. We cannot wait that someone be a step of us and do it something to change. Just saying about politicians, they are doing. I have a reference about Mexico that I share with you. I'm talking about in 1985 that we have an earthquake, and in this moment, the government does work to the society. What happened is when we had the same earthquake in 2017, society don't wait for the government and they start doing something. For me, this kind of learning, for sure, I have so many, as Nash said, racists here, yes? As said Andrea, because I'm a woman, because I need to have a husband, because according with the rules of the culture of the society here, they don't talk about women. I was waiting that someone, because it's my paper, is my vision, is my work, is this and that, talk to me, don't talk to my partner. He don't know nothing. All right. But this is a part of it, a part of it. The important thing here is we are humans and we want to succeed. And in order to succeed, money is the result of the things that we are doing good.
Andrea, I'm sure you agree with that. You've just said earlier, we are just humans, right? You know, and together we
I
are
totally agree with you. And I think this diversity can be the biggest advantage for Malaysia, because I believe diversity is the new superpower. I'm an advocate for diversity, because if you have a lot of perspectives, imagine how creative a startup can be, how creative the business, the politics, everything around the country can be, because you have something that no one else has in the world, like these 3 different cultures with so many beautiful things inside. And if you are, instead of separating the people, you create this real one Malaysia and you really go forward without the labels and without the judgment, you will be really, really on the top of, for example, Southeast Asia, because you will have all the different cultures already at one place and no one else has it.
Agree, totally agree with you. So agree. Thank you so much. And Dave, would you like to wrap this up before we leave? As a Malaysian, you know, wishing the rest of Malaysia happy Malaysia Day.
Yeah, no, I'm so grateful for a life that grew up from growing up in Port Dickson, going to Bukit Mertajam and Batuat, growing high school in Klang, and then eventually coming and working in the city, I guess, and that appreciation from being able to just live in different homes, different communities, like Nash said, I lived with the family that used to help my grandmother, a Malay family in a kampong here, and that was just my kampong life when I grew up up till about age 10, and then up in Kedah and stuff. He used to go and catch catfish in the paddy fields with friends. And then Klang was again, it was a diverse group, both across all 3 cultures, actually, Indian, Chinese, and Malay. And that was the best food time for me, because I think that's when I started appreciating food much more. Your taste buds start evolving and stuff in high school, and it was just absolutely lovely. So I would love to just get back to that kampong. That kampong life becomes the base of how we build the Malaysian society, because it's really reflective of the different identities, what's really valuable in Kelantan, what is fantastic about Johor, the logat utara that you get from being in Perak and Kedah, and there's just so much appreciation that we, I think we've lost a little bit of that, because we wanted to be part of the world, so quickly, and so some of us have, taken that as the journey, and I'm a culprit in that area, and so to some extent I've lost some part of my Malaysianness, right? And I'd love to try and figure out how I can contribute towards being that. So to all my fellow Malaysians, I think if we can start, inculcating some little kampong element in who we are and the tribe that we try to be, I think that's the foundation for how we might grow and why diversity becomes, our superpower, as Andrea said.
Yes, so thank you so much, Anna, for making time for me on a beautiful morning. I'm really, really happy, and thank you so much for, giving me all your insights on, what Malaysians, can do better and how we are already amazing, and in conjunction with celebrating Malaysia Day. So thank you so much. How about each of you? And I'll start with Nash. Wish everyone a happy Malaysia Day.
Happy Malaysia Day, everyone. I'm so happy and blessed to have this experience of growing up in two different parts of Tanah Melayu, but Malaysia is my home. My kids are here. I love it here.
Thank you. Jolo, what about you?
Happy Malaysian Day. This is something that we share it with Mexico. 15th of September, we celebrate our independence. We are the country that we celebrate the beginning of our independence. So we are sharing 16th of September with you, and I'm so very happy for it.
Thank you, Andrea.
So happy Malaysian Day to everyone in Malaysia, and terima kasih, Vanitha, for this interview. It was really nice, and just enjoy your day and enjoy this beautiful celebration and grow together. And we do better together.
Thank you. Dave, what about you, Dave?
Yeah, selamat Hari Malaysia semua. All right, I'm so grateful for this opportunity to be able to talk about this together with you guys. And Malaysians, I hope that we all start having more useful and meaningful conversations like this, and then start, hashtag road trip Malaysia.
Yeah, take us along wherever you're going. Take us, maybe we can all, just tag along. So thank you everyone very much.
No
and
problem.
Selamat Hari Malaysia, everybody. Thank you so much.
Yeah.